My old man was a mean drunk. More often than not, he'd come home wasted and take out his frustrations on me and my mother. One day, he was in a particularly foul mood, and as he was about to take a swing at me, my mum stepped in between us. His face turned red with anger like I'd never seen it before, when suddenly the doorbell rang. I think I was the only one who heard it. When no one answered, whoever was standing outside of our door pounded on it with such force it nearly flew off its hinges. This got my dad's attention. Grabbing a baseball bat on his way to the door, he swung it open, getting ready to strike the visitor. My mum covered my eyes. Slowly her hands dropped, and I saw my dad was just frozen in place. When I looked up, I understood why. At the door was a man in an impeccable dark blue suit. Not a single stain or wrinkle. A fancy handkerchief was tucked into his breast pocket, and his tie was perfectly straight. And he did not have a face. The faceless man grabbed the bat from my father's hand and folded it into somewhat of a pretzel-like shape. My dad dropped to his knees in disbelief. The faceless man then grabbed his head with a single hand, and without any effort whatsoever, he crushed my father's head into a mess of blood and bones. Very casually, he took out the handkerchief and then cleaned my dad's blood, brains, and bone fragments from his hand, after which he took out a small notebook and an expensive-looking fountain pen and then crossed something out. Suddenly, he just casually strolled out the door, leaving my mother and I in utter shock and disbelief. I'm not proud to admit this, but I take after my old man. Because of my old man, perhaps. And while he had a family, all I have is this lousy security job and a string of failed relationships due to my drinking and anger issues. Today, as I was making the final rounds to make sure all the doors and windows were locked in the building I was working, I had entered the stairwell, and when I looked at the locked door, I heard a gentle knocking. Looking through the peephole, I see a man in an impeccable dark blue suit, not a single stain or wrinkle. He had a fancy handkerchief tucked in his breast pocket, and his tie was perfectly straight. And he does not have a face. Freaking out, I start to run down the stairs, trying all of the doors along the way. All of them are locked, and suddenly, for some reason, my keys do not open a single door. I hear a loud bang, and I assume the faceless man has kicked down the door from earlier. I hear him casually walking down the stairs. Unlike me, he seems to be in no hurry. I reach the very bottom of the stairs and try to break down the door of reinforced steel, fully knowing just how pointless it is. Behind me, I hear the soft footsteps approaching. I crawl into the corner as the faceless man reaches out to place his hand on my head like he did my father's all those years ago. In my desperation, I beg him to spare me. I promise to stop drinking, go to therapy, make amends to the people that I have hurt. I say all of this while sobbing. To my shock, it seems to have worked. He pulls his hands away from me, reaches in his pocket and pulls out this tiny little notebook and fancy fountain pen, the one I know all too well, and writes something. He then turns the book to face me. He shows me my name with a question mark right beside it. And with that, he closes the book, casually walks out the door, just like he did so many years before. I'm at home now and I'm thinking about that question mark next to my name. I know that question mark was a message. It was a warning, one that I have to take to heart. He has given me a second chance to make good on my promise to him. I know he's still out there, somehow observing me, and I know that I will not get a third chance. I've always felt like I was on the outside looking in. Like I just couldn't seem to figure out how to connect to people, how to act normal. I tried my best, I really did, but I always felt like everyone just knew. They knew there was something wrong with me. I wish I felt safe in my cubicle. After all, it was my cubicle. Just because I didn't have a corner office with a heavy closed door and a shade forever pulled over a tiny rectangular window doesn't mean I should have to talk to every single damn person who walks by. "Well, good morning, Jeff," exclaimed Betty in her overly sweet southern drawl. Betty was in her late 60s. She had been screwed over in a nasty divorce and would most likely be stuck working in this call center until she eventually kneeled over with some asshole still screaming into her headset. "I said, do not call us, you stupid cow." I wondered what it was that kept Betty going like that every day. Always polite, trying to make people smile. What about Betty's morning could possibly be good? She probably woke up exhausted and alone, rubbing her bad knee like she'd been doing 75% of the day. Packed herself another bologna sandwich to yet again come to some dead-end minimum wage job where sweet ladies like herself get yelled at all day long. She should be retired and enjoying her hard-earned free time. I wanted to ask her what was so good about this morning. "Jeff, there, you all right? You look like you were kind of staring off into space there for a minute. You got something on your mind, honey?" she politely asked. I knew she was genuinely concerned, but underneath that surface level of concern, I knew what else she was thinking. "There's something seriously wrong with that boy. Hope he doesn't shoot up the place one of these days. Ah, hell, I ain't got much to live for anyways." Betty's surprisingly dismissal thoughts trailed off as I bid her good morning. I tried my best to use the tone and smile I had practiced so many times in front of the mirror. "Yes, good morning to you as well, Betty. You were looking lovely today. Nice weather we're having," I said. I thought I did okay until the look on her face dropped. Alrighty. You have a nice day then," she said as she walked away fairly quickly for someone with a bad knee. Soon to be two bad knees. She had been ignoring the other one that had been bearing all the weight, and it was starting to hurt as well. She knew she couldn't afford the medical bills. I immediately checked my weather app. It called for thunderstorms all day. Ah, shit. The rest of the day went by in the same fashion. I tried to avoid people as much as I could, but for some reason they just wouldn't allow it. Catch the game last night, Jeff? Todd asked as he put a plate of leftovers in the microwave. He kept going on about it, and his food audibly splattered all over the damn thing. I knew he wouldn't bother cleaning it up. He'd leave it for one of the women to do once they got too disgusted by the old crusty mess to heat up their own lunch in there. No, sir. I'm not really much of a sport watcher, I said. Okay, weirdo, Todd teased. He took his food and, as predicted, pretended not to see the mess as he walked away. I grabbed my lunch and hurried back to my cubicle. The clock ticked by slowly. How is it only 1? I muttered under my breath. This entire concept of measuring time makes it seem so much slower. These half-evolved apes really need a new system. No wonder they're so unproductive. Staring at these silly clocks all days, measuring time in their strange ways to make it seem quantifiable, yet they constantly say things like time goes fast when you're having fun. I just don't get it. Their science, their religion, their expressions, everything these people do, say, and believe seems to contradict its very nature. I forced myself to breathe and calm down. I could feel the anger boiling up in me. I knew I couldn't let it out. I knew I had to keep up the facade. Afterward, glances on the bus, awkward shoulder touching. I hated it. I didn't want to hate humans. I know there are some really good ones out there, but just like they seemed to sense that I was, well, wrong, and I couldn't help but feel the same about them. I didn't know how much more I could try to blend in with them. Trying to act like them was wearing me down. The thoughts of suicide was so unheard of to me, so unfathomable, until I learned about how many people on this planet actually take their own lives. I thought the concept completely insane at first, but as the long days passed by, seeming longer and lonelier, the thought began to race across my mind more and more often. Back to work again, and oh no, he finally died. I realized poor Janice. Her dog had been very sick for a few months now. She tried to hide her silent cries every day in the bathroom, but she couldn't hide them from me. He was all she had. 35, single, no kids. She had survived a pretty serious trauma when she was young, so she intentionally lived a very solitary life. She believed it would help keep her safe from further harm. It did not. See, this is why I want to have compassion for the human race, because of people like Betty, people like Janice, but then there are people like the one who hurt poor Janice so badly. She chose to live a lonely, loveless life trapped in a cage she created that did the opposite of keeping her safe. People like Betty's husband, who divorced her for a younger woman after she gained a few pounds, having carried his children inside of her own body. One of the most selfless acts humanity is capable of. Humans just don't make any damn sense. Oh, Janice, please stop. I think to myself, of course I feel bad, I do. But I have spent so many years teaching myself to tune out their thoughts, their emotions. I can tune out the mundane bullshit, the empty-minded thoughts of people like Todd, just waiting to get home and drink beer on the couch. But then there are the loud ones. The emotions these people can have are so strong sometimes. Their thoughts are so loud it feels like it vibrates through me. I feel every bit of their pain, their fear. I hear their desperate and devastated thoughts as if they're screaming in my ear. I can't take it. Shut up, shut up, shut up! I screamed, not realizing it was out loud, and over the headset directly in the ear of a now very angry customer demanding to speak with my manager. I ran the fuck out of there. I knew that this was the end of that job, but I didn't care anymore. I couldn't wait any longer to be rescued. There was no one here who could help me, and it was just too long of a wait until anyone else could. I couldn't take the bus. Overwhelmed, I had completely lost my meditative ability to block them out. Thousands of overlapping thoughts screaming inside my head, louder and louder. A lady begging for her sick son to recover, a man behind her checking out her ass, another man begging for money on a street corner, his heart breaking with every dirty look he received, an elderly man fighting back tears knowing he didn't have enough money for his wife's heart medication, a mother who had just given birth to a stillborn baby, blaming herself for not eating healthy enough. I was inches away from walking into traffic when I heard a different kind of thought. I hope Mummy loves these flowers. I watched a little girl, maybe around 5 years old, picking dandelions in her front yard, humming and skipping along. If I could cry, I would, but I don't know how. There really is a strange beauty here. This world seems to be a balancing act between thunderstorms strong enough to tear apart homes and beautiful flowers that grow from the rain. People who are so full of fear and rage, all they want to do is inflict pain on anyone they can, and people so full of love, all they want to do is bring joy and comfort to others. I went home and sat down on the couch and decided I'd continue waiting it out. I was genuinely fascinated. Despite my frustration, I wanted to understand this planet of opposing forces. I wanted to believe in these odd creatures who inhabit it. I knew I had plenty of time, considering how slowly their damned clocks ticked. I would try harder. I decided I did not want to end up one of the hateful ones. I would learn to be one of the kind ones instead. I have decided to share my account anonymously because I can no longer bear the burden of feeling so alone while I wait for my rescue. I know it will be a long wait. It will most likely take hundreds of your human years before my people can finally reach me. We knew the risks flying into the first artificial wormhole our species had created. We knew the possibility it would collapse and that we would be stranded here. What I don't know is why I'm the sole survivor. I don't know why my companions didn't survive the crash, but I have learned from my time here that this planet tests its inhabitants. It seems to want to believe in them too. It is very much alive, and its thoughts are the loudest of all. And right now I can sense it reminding me that the wait will only feel as long as I choose to make it feel. that free will is an important part of the experience, though it will not explain to me why these tests seem so severe, why it has to be so hard. Is it all a lesson, an experiment? I can feel that there is no malice in Earth's intention, only hope. Maybe that is what we're supposed to learn from all of this. That free will is a powerful thing. Then again, there's no malice in the intent of a happy little 3-year-old girl catching fireflies and putting them in a jar overnight. But it really sucks for the fireflies. Maybe the planet is also learning the depth of her own free will. Damn. This place is confusing. Why do I even have all these stupid questions? Things were so much simpler back home. However, as I do have free will here, and I do find it fascinating, I suppose I should try to make the best of it. The humans may not know what I am, but I don't think that matters anymore. There is one unfortunate problem I have, however. I cannot fool them into believing I am one of them if I do not look like them. The real Jeff, poor guy, is locked in his own basement downstairs. Using the technology I was able to salvage from my ship, I harvested his DNA to alter my own to take on his appearance. The process was extremely painful, and I knew it would only be temporary. Now my body is beginning to reject Jeff's DNA. I will have to kill him and find someone new. It's not that I want to, but what choice do I have? I guess I ought to do it soon. I can hear his terrified thoughts getting louder. Poor Jeff. He knows his days are numbered. Kia ora, family. Thank you very much for listening to this. I'm thinking while I've got some downtime, I will re-record some of the old stories that I had done. The audio quality was awful with them, so hopefully, given a new re-record to them and some new life, they may be interesting to some to listen to again. So I'm going to put them up over the next couple of weeks along with some other videos. I am planning to get back into the Somewhere Beneath Us group of videos. I'm currently just trying to revamp my page and focusing on the new style that I'm going to use. So eventually, once everything is at a particular level that I want it to be, I will be able to go back into regular uploads. But I will get there, and as long as you guys follow with me, it should be hopefully enjoyable. And either way, I won't drag this out. Thank you very much for coming along to tonight's video. I always love having you all with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. These were the first 2 stories I ever narrated on my channel, so it does take it back, and it does kind of bring a feeling of nostalgia, me trying to work my way through and do things again, so that was quite nice. Anyway, sorry, dragged that again, got distracted. Remember to like and subscribe, really helps out the channel, and as always, be safe wherever you are. Have yourself an amazing night or day, and as always, I am Grimm. And I'm, well, signing off.